Hi and welcome to IndigoStarfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into what are their intentions towards you and possible next actions. You can apply these messages for somebody that you are currently seeing, currently talking to, a crush situation. These messages can also be applied to no contact situations, so just whatever resonates for you. There are 4 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Citrine. Group 2 is the Mookaite Jasper. Group 3 is the green Calcite. And group 4 is the Amethyst. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Citrine. So I'm going to start by looking into what are their intentions towards you. Okay, so we have freedom, distraction, mischief, the underworld, where all things pause and begin again, apple, risk and reward, and scrying, intuition. So there's an obvious energy here of you representing some kind of forbidden fruit to this person. So this might be something that, this could be somebody that's part of your friend group, for example. It's possible that there are third-party situations involved here. And so there's almost, with this mischief card as well as scrying, there's an air of mystery that is necessary. It may be that this person is just very secretive in nature, or again, depending on the circumstances, they may not feel able, willing, and ready to just rush towards you very openly. So their intentions, it feels like at this point, is to create some kind of distraction or ruse to try and mask the feelings that they have, like the depth of these feelings. Even if this is somebody that you are dating, there's nothing standing in the way of taking the connection further. There is a desire with freedom to expand beyond the current parameters of the situation. You know, if there's third parties involved, if it's a friend situation, obviously an intention or desire to break free from those circumstances and situations within reason. But if it's something where, you know, again, there's nothing standing in between you sort of taking the connection further. You're dating, you're getting to know one another. It may even apply to something where they're putting you on a bit of a pedestal in some way. And again, there's this idea of like forbidden fruit, what they've gotten to know about you at this point in time. It's really up the ante for them in some kind of way. And so their intention is to not come across as somebody who's too impulsive, somebody who may be just kind of operating on a lower vibration, which may lead to the secrecy. It's almost like they're not wanting to scare you off or come on too strong to allow you at this point in the situation to know the full depth and nature of what it is they're feeling for you, so that they can kind of tiptoe up to a place where they are feeling more confident within themselves. The idea of scrying can also talk about like research that's being done, maybe into things that you are interested in, you've talked about very mutually, and a sense that this person needs to kind of increase their knowledge base, increase their expertise in some manner. Their intention is to present you a very competent and confident face of themselves, which in this current state, again, the situation is going to be different for everyone. They are feeling lacking in some way, or that it's just mystery and secrecy and kind of creating a veil of illusion in some manner is sort of the most appropriate approach to the circumstance. Because the intention is to, with this crow here, carrying this bouquet, the intention is to bring forth, love and romance and a very pleasing energy from them, something that makes you feel comfortable, something that, matches your level of energy, matches your level of availability, matches your level of interest in some manner. But that it's something that, even with this crow in flight, it's something that they are feeling that more elevation, more knowledge, more improvement, or even the elimination of certain obstacles is necessary before they can reveal these true intentions towards you. So it's almost giving me this idea of kind of like Page of Swords energy, even with this mischief where, they may be presenting one face, trying to play it cool, keep it casual, but then there's this whole other side of them that their intention, at least at this point, is hopefully you don't sort of get the clue. Hopefully you don't find out some way. You may be very psychic, very intuitive, and it may almost be leading to this need to put up an extra wall or a guard, that in the present circumstances it feels too premature to bring forth the full nature, the full revelation of what they want to express to you. And so it's almost this intention to not let you see them fully, or not let you see their heart, not let you see the nature of their feelings, and what they hold inside for you, how they view you, how they regard you fully at this point in time. So it's a very, with this, fruit kind of energy and these flowers, it's a very sweet intention that they have. They almost like don't want to lead you on in some manner or promise more than they can deliver at this point in time. They're not wanting to come off as kind of just low vibrational energy, or where they're just purely focused on the physical. They're wanting to bring forth something of substance, something that nourishes you emotionally speaking, nourishes you on the soul level. And so until that time where they feel able to do that, they've gotten to know you more, it's maybe been more time, they've built up the courage, they've moved beyond some other obstacles, it feels like kind of the preliminary action, which I'll get deeper into that with these cards in a minute, but it feels like definitely that preliminary action is that veil of secrecy, trying to hide or masquerade the nature of those intentions as much as they can. And the bottom line is they deeply desire you, they deeply desire to move this connection forward, to explore these feelings in greater depth, when and if the circumstances allow for that. So let's take a look at their possible actions towards you. So we've got the Six of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Queen of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Three of Swords, so more air energy. Eagle, communion. Music, harmony. And Milky Way, perspective. So with all this swords energy here, this does indicate also in conjunction with the Six of Pentacles and energy of giving. In this case, it's this figure, she's holding a pentacle in each hand. So that Two of Pentacles energy, it speaks to this reciprocity. They are wanting to give towards you, speak to you some kind of truth, make an offer, open the lines of communication, or take things to the next level at a time when they are capable of sustaining whatever happens when that door is opened and the two of you step through that. In terms of the next possible actions, though, it does feel to be something, especially with this eagle, this communion card. It's, you know, eagles and birds, these are all talking about, you know, messages and communication. That's air energy. And this flew off the table, and, you know, I had to like reach over and get it. And it's tying to this idea of like Milky Way in perspective of, you know, distance. This may be something that in the immediate future, it's kind of like they're just sort of suffering in silence with this Three of Swords. They're keeping that all contained. For a lot of you, this may have to do even with these three people here in this card, you know, and kind of like the idea of Three of Swords, which can often talk about like third-party energies, like there's other obstacles or factors at play that are sort of blocking the forward momentum, it feels like. If this is somebody that is a friend of yours, it might be sort of like, what will the friend group think? Maybe somebody else in the friend group has a crush on you, and it's kind of a matter almost of like territoriality or something, or not wanting to make things known, not wanting to create awkwardness within that circumstance. Obviously, if it's like third party in the form of other romances, you know, these two people here on the music card, this can definitely talk about a choice. We've got that element of choice here again, also with these Two Pentacles in this card right here. And so it feels like something that, you know, in sort of like the immediate future, silence is the best thing that they can offer. It's withholding that truth. There's a deep desire for that direct communication, but it's almost like taking the logical approach, stuffing down that sort of leaping forward in the heart space, the desire to, you know, create balance, to bring out these feelings from where they're just sort of stuffed within, to explore that, you know, what could this develop into? Are these feelings mutual? Are these feelings reciprocal? Because it feels like it's a lot of unspoken chemistry, especially, you know, with these two, like the apple and the pomegranate right here. It feels like something that, you know, especially if this is somebody that you know socially, there's a lot of, it's just very palpable chemistry. This may have even been something that was noticeable to other people before. They may have been questioned, especially if it's like third-party romantic situations. There could have been some awkwardness with that. And so it's really tying into the idea of needing to sort of maintain that masquerade. More distance is needed. They're needing to close some things out, work out some courage, maybe even sort of like weigh the pros and cons within themselves. If this is somebody that you are already kind of seeing, you're already dating in some way, it's almost, again, this like Queen of Swords. They want to get to know you better. They want to not allow their feelings to run away with them. So it's looping back into this energy of the intentions. And again, very good intentions to kind of do right by everybody. Maybe this is somebody who with this Three of Swords in their past had kind of let the heart lead them astray, had just rushed in, kind of like the idea of fools rush in, you know, and they didn't really have any sort of common ground with somebody. They opened up too quickly. They gave too much. They got all in their feels. They caught feelings, and it ended, you know, badly. Things soured. Things fell apart. It may even be they still have some wounding or some insecurities as far as that goes. And so it feels like they're not necessarily trying to lead you on, but it's more of an energy of just, I want to try to do this right. I don't want to let this urge and this pull and this desire kind of sabotage what we could establish if we start kind of from the ground up. You know, it's an innocent sort of energy right here. It's like building that foundation by way of experiences with one another, conversations with one another, just allowing some more time to pass, you know, with this idea of Milky Way in perspective before they just reveal everything to you. So it feels almost like a slow pace of evolution, still just kind of skirting around, you know, this energy of like the palpable chemistry. And even if this is somebody that you're dating, it feels that you might almost be able to sense that they're holding back in some manner, that, you know, it might just be, even if the conversation is flowing, you can almost just tell that there's something hidden. There's something that they're being very removed or very remote about. That could be something which is causing you a bit of distress. Like, what are they hiding? What are they holding back on? And what that is really feels to be this, deep desire to just fully indulge in this connection and situation. But maybe for the first time ever, or the first time in a long time, this individual is choosing to not just lead with the heart, but to allow the logical mind to really kind of make them err on the side of caution, to really think things through, to really establish things, to get to know one another in a well-rounded way before they're willing to open things up further. And then especially also, again, if there's, this is something where there are third-party connections, third-party situations involved, it may also not be prudent or appropriate for them to open up and reveal everything. And so it's almost this idea of like needing to be very measured, still remaining very cautious. It's a little bit of like breadcrumbing energy, but with the idea of two of pentacles that she's holding right there, it's kind of like they're giving you a lot more than just the bare minimum to keep you holding on. So this may be something where they almost are, saying a little too much every once in a while, making up excuses to be near you, to engage with you, to be very direct with you, but something where they're keeping it very much surface level, especially if there's other people that are like watching, or it's become problematic before, and it feels to be something that's very agonizing for them to have to just kind of put on this mask to remain very remote from this deep desire to, again, like co-create with you, to open that door, to speak these sweet nothings, to express something about, the nature of what it is they're feeling for you, which in the immediate sort of sense, it doesn't feel that it's very practical. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self and see what they want to tell you. Actually, I'm going to get a couple more of these. Okay, and I'm actually going to read these two first. It's great when the intuition kicks in, and these definitely fit into this idea of, like, if there's a third-party situation involved, they say, I have considered leaving it all behind and heading straight to you, but I don't know if I can handle the consequences. Yeah, so definitely somebody where, it becomes increasingly more difficult to not explore these feelings, to kind of suppress and stuff these things down. They may have made efforts to do so, distance themselves, again, trying to keep things very surface level, but as time goes on, it's almost like trying to hold back a floodgate in a certain manner. And they also say, my family looks up to me and I feel like I can't let them down. So this is tying in with the idea, again, of like a third-party situation where it just might not be practical or possible for them in the very immediate sense to rush towards you and reveal anything. This can definitely apply. These two energies right here can apply if this is somebody you're like in separation with, no contact with. There is this desire to like return, to resume the situation in some manner, to pick up where you left off, or maybe it's even unexplored potential largely. But again, it feels like there may be like other wedges or factors standing in the way. This can also tie into the idea of like family, or friends that are like family rather. And so if there's a common friend group, it may be something about not wanting to upset the balance of that situation, wanting to throw caution to the wind and, move towards you in that sense, sort of open that door to something more possibly. But then they're kind of that logical energy thinking about, well, what if things fall apart? How is that going to affect the harmony that we have established with one another as this kind of like cohesive friend unit? And they also say, I don't feel I deserve to be happy. So a bit of a lack mentality, courage being a factor. That can definitely tie in if this is somebody that you are currently seeing, you're talking to, and they just seem to be going really slowly, or you feel that they're holding something back from you, not expressing these full intentions, or just being, again, very surface level about that. There may be some kind of like heartbreak or dissonance, disruption from their past that they are trying to sort of move in a different way in this situation. And it feels that they're exercising a lot of restraint to hold back these feelings, to not rush towards you, to not just open the floodgates of their heart and to let you in. But it may be something that they're still needing to recover or pick up the pieces. This may be, you know, the first relationship after a breakup, after a period of being single, and they're just kind of like in new territory in some manner. It's difficult to kind of put into practical application the sense of being open and ready for new love, but then at the same time taking those steps. It's almost like they're confronting these triggers or like unhealed ghosts of their past, which might be holding them back from just rushing forward. And they also say, I daydream about you often. So this is tying into that idea of somebody who is dreaming about moving out of a current situation back in your direction. Somebody who dreams about taking things to the next level with you, dreams about being more than friends. And they also say, I check on you every chance I get. So that can apply that Page of Swords energy if you're in no contact or separation with somebody. They may be putting up a mask or a facade, especially if they're in a third-party connection, of being very present, very engaged in that situation. But then behind closed doors, there's still this curiosity. There's still a lot of feelings for you. This can also talk about, you know, like kind of the friendship group scenario or energy. You know, this could be somebody you've almost caught this person sort of like sneaking glances at you, like side eyeing you. And then they might get very kind of like nervous or awkward or start blushing or something like that. And it's this sense of really putting in a lot of effort to try and mask those true intentions, not wanting you to see the nature of just how much they desire you, just how curious they are about what more could develop between the two of you. And they also say, the reason you've been thinking about me is because I've been thinking about you. So more of that confirmation of like the daydreaming energy, a lot of thoughts directed to what could possibly unfold between the two of you, what should have happened. If this is a past situation, that could be a regret about a choice that was made to move in another direction, even if it was just not investing in this connection, even if there's no third-party situations involved, especially if it's a third-party situation. Though it's like in terms of their body physicality in a 3D sense, they're present in their connection, but their mind, their heart is engaged elsewhere. This may be something that, again, is kind of sending up alarm bells for the third party who, you know, might be able to sense that there's something else going on. Maybe they've even sort of sensed the chemistry between you and this individual. It might have created issues, questions. And so it just feels like somebody who has kind of this necessity or this urge, whether it's for something from the outside circumstances or something within themselves, where silence is the best approach, at least at this point moving forward. It feels also that they may be strategizing a way beyond these obstacles, whether these are internal things or external things, and that in the future they might like to change these circumstances. But for now, these intentions are almost not to lead you on, not to promise more than they can deliver, an intention to, you know, develop and unleash these feelings in a certain capacity, but it's really contingent on kind of feeling out the environment, the environmental factors, or just kind of negotiating with themselves and some kind of like heartbreak or wounding within them that has, for whatever reason, been triggered, maybe by the level that you're at in the situation with one another, and kind of taking that next step forward would move them into that territory. It'd move them into the vibration of where they were hurt and loved the last time, or for some, this might even be new territory where they've never gone before. It's like unexplored territory of, you know, an intensity of feelings, and they don't really know how to operate. So a bit of a lack mentality, a bit of just needing to sort of plan and think and strategize and take the logical approach. But they definitely, you know, have these romantic feelings, and there is active kind of like planning and thought about how can I get around these obstacles and barriers and move to the place of full disclosure. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got E, T, L, A, K, H, X, W, S, and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. I chose the Mookaite Jasper. So I'm going to start by looking into what are their intentions towards you. Okay, so we have illusion, perspective, exposed, joy, rejoicing in the present, vampire, emotional intelligence, and scrying, intuition. So this energy of vampire and illusion is bringing forth this message that they're wanting to show to you that they're not like the rest. There's a deep desire to provide reciprocity towards you. The intention is to show you that they are emotionally mature in some manner and understand the concept of give and take, whether that is allowing you space or kind of pouring forth into you on an emotional level in the same way that you are. They may be taking cues from you with this idea of scrying, kind of intending on calibrating their behavior according to your comfort level. It feels that this is something where they're kind of sitting in this energy like a passive energy almost. Not that there's a lack of courage or determination, because we've got all this kind of like yellow, orange, sort of like solar plexus, sacral chakra energy here on this joy card. There is this intention to provide you with happiness, provide you with contentment, make you feel like the time spent with them or the experience with them is worth your while. But it's definitely not taking the lead in such a way that your needs are made secondary. Maybe this person has kind of a bright personality, a very kind of like a dominant sort of energy. It may have been a circumstance in connections in their past, or they kind of just have a tendency, or even just in other areas of their life, they have a tendency to like overshadow people, very in an unintentional kind of way. It just may have to do with their personality or approach. With this idea of perspective, this feels to be something that this may have almost cost them relationships in the past, or that they have engaged in some kind of work of self-reflection and self-understanding to where they know this tendency within them. And so in this circumstance with you, they're almost tempering themselves or acting in kind of a measured sort of way so as not to bulldoze the connection, so as not to, kind of be this bright, shining sun that kind of outshines the starlight of the situation. There's this desire to kind of create this this balance between kind of the illusion, sort of the mystery, sort of what's held back, that tempering within themselves, in accordance to, you know, allowing you sort of this time to express yourself, to make your needs known, and then them really being able to respond in kind to that. With this idea of expose, this is also talking about an intention to be very transparent with you. This may be a situation where it's kind of a newer connection, or it could be somebody that you're just starting to reconcile with, or somebody who's planning on reaching out to reconcile, and they may have, if it's a no contact or like someone from the past, this idea of they've reflected on the circumstances before, and depending, you know, everybody's situation is going to be different, but it's almost like you need to take the lead in this circumstance. They do have this desire to, you know, to speak plainly to you, to bring forth to you, you know, this very kind of like bright and positive energy, but they're not wanting to just sort of have you walking in their shadow. They're wanting to have like your needs heard, your needs met in some manner. You know, it's not like they're kind of like wanting to entertain this energy of passivity forever. There is this intention to give more to the connection in time, but it feels almost like with this sort of sunny energy here on the Joy card, it's kind of like sunrise, like it's this gradual unfoldment, and kind of at this point in time, the intention is to allow you to lead, and I'm hearing to allow you to lead for a change. So that can apply to someone you were dealing with in the past, that it was kind of you know, almost just like a little overbearing, that it was sort of someone who kind of was very, very determined, knew what they wanted, and everyone else was just kind of along for the ride. That might be sort of a tendency in their relationships in the past, or you know, somebody you're just starting to get to know who may have been sort of dominating the conversations, making it kind of all about them in a certain way, and something has really cued them in or clicked for them with this idea of intuition and scrying, that it might be actually doing more damage than good to the situation. Maybe they're sensing that you're getting a little bit bored, you're feeling a little bit drained. Maybe after dealing with this person, you're just kind of, you know, your energy level goes from enthusiasm to, you know, sort of like silence in a manner. It's somebody who has a degree of self-awareness, that they've been able to sort of look back over the long term of the situation, or you know, kind of what you've established between one another up to this point in time, and somebody who's able to kind of like calculate and measure almost, does it feel like the vibration of enthusiasm and joy is growing, or is this something where it might be waning and a different approach could be necessary? So it feels to be somebody who has very positive intentions, especially if it's like a no contact situation with the idea of like illusion and exposed. They are wanting to speak some kind of truth to you, but not wanting to bombard you with that. There is a desire to come out of hiding, out of the shadowy energy, to step out into the light. There's an intention for renewal, or at least providing you with clarity and answers. Again, this very passive energy, so that you have a well-rounded perspective. You're seeing things from their side of the story, or sort of seeing what they've learned and discovered about themselves, so that you have the educated decision going forward. Where do you want the connection to go? So let's take a look now and see what their possible actions are towards you. Okay, so we've got the Ace of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Knight of Cups, so more water energy. Page of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Fairies, earth magic. Volcano, volatility. And Meadow, vulnerability. So this Page of Swords is really fitting in with this this energy of kind of like them following your lead in some manner, calibrating their actions either at that genesis point of their return, if this is somebody that you're in separation from, or if this is somebody current that you're dealing with, maybe somebody new that you're just getting to know. It's this action of sort of continuing to gauge, moving forward a little bit, kind of like gradually pouring more and more into the situation, but allowing you to call the shots in this circumstance. Your response determines what their next step is, whether they hold in place or whether they continue to advance. This feels to be something that it requires a lot more than just kind of like one conversation. It's like a series of signals. It's something where they're very focused on this, and this could be, if this is something where it's a no contact situation, then they're really prioritizing making a good impression. It's almost giving me the idea of sort of that they feel they have one shot, one opportunity to get this right, that it's kind of a delicate or precarious balance. There may have been a lot of volatility in the past, or it's almost like if they rush in too quickly, if they give too much, or if they withhold themselves too much, that it's something that could really damage or sabotage the connection. So they're hyper fixed on that. Maybe even if it's somebody you're in no contact with, even watching you now from afar, looking you up on social media, seeing what you're up to, if they, with this kind of like city scene here in the background of this card, if they live close to you, they could be like driving by your house, going to places that you frequent, kind of just like spying, or even people that you know in common, sort of like asking around about you to just sort of gauge where you're at. Where's your vibration at? Where's your mind at? What are your priorities? What are you focused on? What are you working toward? What's going right? What's going wrong? Just trying to gather all this information to determine sort of the right dose of themselves to apply to get your attention, to say what they need to say, enough so that there can be this kind of like gradual pouring back into the situation from a changed energy. There's patience here is definitely what these action steps and even this intention really speaks to. If it's somebody that you're currently dealing with, again, it's something like taking some kind of action towards you and then studying, watching, gauging your reaction and your receptivity. Something that might have even just been clued in. This might even be like a new approach for them. If they had been very overbearing and kind of dominating the situation, something may have really occurred to them. They saw something, they're sensing something, all this watery energy. They may be very psychic or intuitive, where they're needing to almost like back off in a certain way, or risk, kind of like toppling the connection in general. And this is not coming from the energy of somebody who's trying to manipulate the situation like in a narcissistic capacity. There is this deep desire to create almost like a happily ever after for you on earth, with this idea of like fairies and earth magic. They're not trying to be this sort of ideal, unsustainable version of love and romance. But even, if it's somebody you were dealing with in the past, it feels like they're self-aware enough that they know the vibration they were in, or maybe what you had to tolerate or put up with, what you went through in the past, and there's a desire to lean into more of a sweet energy with you, to open up and show you a side of themselves that may not have been present. They may not have been able to access that in their own past. If this is somebody that you're dealing with currently, maybe just in terms of you discussing with each other sort of your past experiences in romance, there's a desire on this person's part to present a very different face of love to you than what you have known. So if you've been through a lot of volatility, you've had a lot of detrimental or damaging relationships where you've had to pick the pieces up from, they're not wanting to trigger you in any way. They're not wanting to set off any alarm bells. They're wanting to make sure that you feel very appreciated and seen and heard and understood. So their actions towards you are almost going to be something which is leading into kind of just like this, almost like an ideal partner in a sense, maybe even trying a little bit too hard to be that ideal, that good listener, that person that holds space. It may be something that's a little out of character for them. They may feel very exposed and confused. This could be something new that they're trying in a relationship for the first time, or in getting to know someone. So it may come across as kind of artificial in some way, or kind of fantastical, or it's just there's a sense here of that there's a lot more that they want to like say and deliver to you than they're sort of going forward the next action steps and they're choosing to. It's a lot of energy of like self-restraint in some manner, and an openness. If they'd been putting pressure or they had intentions for, you know, the connection as far as like where it was going to lead, again, that idea of like an overbearing personality with that volcano and volatility, you know, with meadow and vulnerability, they're really reining it in. They're wanting you to be the one to sort of continue to direct the course and the current, not forever, but at least at this kind of like this next sort of turn or this next leg of your journey with one another, that for whatever reason they are feeling into, perceiving, or sensing that in some way it's necessary to truly kind of like check in and engage with you. Are you happy in this situation? Are you feeling fulfilled? Do you feel seen? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel understood? Are you having your needs met? Are you having a good time in all of this? You know, wanting to really sort of put themselves on the back burner for a minute to kind of put the spotlight on you. And this is something, you know, it's an openness. They're wanting to really present themselves as a good listener, as a safe space. It's creating that sense of, you know, again, a different kind of love story than you've had, that you've experienced before, and also a different kind of way of them showing up in love and partnership than they themselves even have, or that's very uncommon for how they're showing up in other sort of connections in their life. So those actions moving forward, it feels like more of this openness, more of this giving you the space and saying, okay, where are we going to go next in this circumstance? But at some point in time, you know, it's almost like there's a certain point that they're wanting to reach, and then there's this all of this that they want to unleash. This doesn't feel like this person's natural state of being to be passive. They may be a very determined individual, a very, you know, kind of like outspoken person, or just a very confident person. And so they're not going to just sit in this energy of receptivity forever. There's a desire to give. They will give to this connection. They'll either, you know, come out from the hiding from the past, if it's someone you're in no contact with, and kind of, you know, give these words and affirmations of love to ground down into reality, you know, this possibility, this kind of like what if, or the fantasy of let's try again, let's start over, let's have total disclosure, total openness, let's lead with love this time, as opposed to, you know, ego. Well, eagle, okay, that might be a sign for some of you. An eagle may be sort of like a totem animal in this situation, but it's almost like they're in contact with their higher self. They're wanting to come forth in a higher vibration to you than they had in the past. They have mastered their ego in some way and are coming to you as the eagle, you know, very competent, very capable. They've got their eye on what they want ultimately in this situation. And they, you know, will not just remain kind of like perched and observant forever. They will swoop in and kind of exert themselves at a certain point in time. But sort of those next actions, whether it's current person, you know, like new person you're dealing with, or person from the past coming through, you're taking the lead until the point where they kind of have this cue or something clicks into place that it's time for them to take over, and kind of express a lot of the kind of the next layer, this deep truth, these emotions, that they're kind of just waiting for the right place and the right time, energetically speaking, to do that. So let's take a look at some messages from their higher self and see what they want to tell you. Okay, and they say, I wonder if your feelings for me are the same. So definitely that energy of holding back, sitting in a very passive vibration right now. So if it's somebody from the past, this could tie into the idea of needing to feel things out, allow you to be the one in charge in the situation when they first come back around. You know, if it's somebody that you are currently dealing with, again, the idea of like you're in charge at this point in time, because they're not they may be feeling something has shifted within you, or they've just kind of reached a point, some sort of mile marker for themselves, you know, something where they really have checked themselves and have maybe noticed that, or worried, even if this is not actually the case, but, you know, they're almost just being self-conscious in a sense of wanting to let you be the one to lead for a while or for a change, because they're not wanting the potential that exists between the two of you to be swallowed up in this very kind of determined energy, this very sort of like powerful energy, this very sort of dominant energy that they may ordinarily have. Definitely somebody who's kind of like learned from their past mistakes, either with you or in other connections, and they're trying something new this time around. And they also say, you're the only person I've ever felt comfortable enough with to just be myself. So yeah, this is a very important connection to them. It feels like this is why they are being so cautious at this point in time, not wanting to overwhelm, not wanting to make you, you know, feel underappreciated or unseen in a way. They really value the time that you spend with one another. They value what could be resurrected between you or what might develop between you in time. So it's really somebody who's heavily invested in the idea of reciprocity, not just as a concept, but they're letting you take the wheel and drive the situation for a while. And they also say, I'm ready to be in a serious, committed relationship with you. So that can also tie into why they are taking a moment, a step back to sort of gauge where you're at. That idea of volcano and volatility can talk about, you know, a big question that they're wanting to ask. Maybe this is becoming exclusive, becoming monogamous, moving in with one another, maybe popping the question for some of you, or somebody from your past who's ready to return. They've gone through some kind of growth and evolution. It feels like a humbling, a softening almost, where they may have just been kind of oblivious to the nature that everyone else wasn't having fun in their energy and kind of in the direction that they were steering the ship in the same way that they were having fun. And it's something to where, you know, they have self-reflected and they're wanting to be that kind of marriage material, that relationship material, wanting it to be equal give and take as opposed to just something that's very one-sided and all about them. They also say, I don't know why I can't seem to stop watching you. So that Page of Swords energy right there. And this can tie into as well if they've been in kind of a period of passivity with you. Can tie into like the pressure of the volcano here, where something within them, they may be sort of fighting their lower nature, fighting their tendency to lead and take charge. It may be very uncomfortable for them to just sort of sit back and allow. This feels to be a stage of growth and evolution for them personally through this sort of experiment of how they are approaching this situation, especially if it's somebody from the past wanting to come back in. The fact that they are taking their time and they're just watching and observing and taking note and trying to move at a time that they feel or sense that is good for the two of you, rather than just looking exclusively at like what's good for them, being very self-revolving. This is someone who's actually starting to take otherness and the unit of the two of you into consideration. This is factoring into their plans. And they also say, I spend a lot of time alone in my car thinking about you. So that can be that confirmation of someone driving by your house, seeing if they can catch sight of you, maybe even just getting out and going for drives so they have a time to think, to plan, to strategize. What's that next move? And interestingly, with that idea of like car and it was coming through, they're letting you take the wheel and drive for you know, a period of time. It's like this idea of they're the passenger now in this situation. They're wanting you to feel that you have some element of control in what happens moving forward. And they also say, I don't want to let you go. So time may be of the essence if this is someone returning or someone that you're currently dealing with. Again, more of that energy of like the volcano and pressure, that this is, they're not wanting to sit on the fence too long. They're not wanting to make you feel that this sort of like pullback on their part equates that they've reached the end of the road as far as their interest. So it's a very fine balance here that they're trying to cultivate as far as rushing towards you, you know, opening up their heart, sort of catapulting the situation to the next level, and really making sure that you're comfortable and on board with where things are at and where they're going, or that you're in a space in your life where they're not wanting to add extra stress and confusion, especially if this is somebody that you were dealing with previously and there may be difficult conversations that may need to take place. It may not be a situation where they show up and it's just immediately you pick up where you left off. There may be sort of some history that needs to be revisited and sort of closed out between the two of you. So again, it's a very measured approach about coming forth at just the right time, but definitely somebody who is not going to just sit and watch and wait and be the passenger forever. They very much want to lead and to provide you with a sense of joy and stability, and to convey to you their ongoing interest and engagement in this connection and wanting to take things to another level. So I'm going to get some initials for you, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got X, F, Y, Z, A, J, W, O, V, K, D, and L. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. We chose the green Calcite. So I'm going to start by looking into what are these person's intentions towards you. We have distance, freedom, mischief, cauldron, synergy and healing, scrying, intuition, and black cat, fortune meets opportunity. So there's definitely an element of secrecy here. It's I'm hearing, I'm going to give you your space. So this may be a situation where you've had a fight or a disagreement. You've reached kind of a roadblock with somebody. This could be somebody from your past who is still sort of operating in a bit of like stubbornness and ego, where they're going to continue to create space in this situation, perhaps battling their ego within, but it feels to be almost like a stubbornness here in some manner. Like they don't intend to be the one to act first. They don't intend to almost like give you the satisfaction of seeing how wounded they are by the current circumstances between you. So there's a little bit of hostility that it feels like that this person is harboring, to where it almost might be even something where they are intending to keep themselves a bit removed because they don't want to make matters worse in the situation. They're not wanting to stir up trouble with the idea of like mischief and cauldron. They might not be in a good place right now. They may be really struggling to sort of free themselves from the trappings of the ego in some way, other circumstances, things that are maybe even outside of your understanding. They may be a mystery to you. There could be a lot going on right now in this person's life having to do with other aspects, maybe things to do with finances, problems that they're having with their family, problems that they're having at work, some kind of like depression or anxiety, some kind of emotional crisis that they are in right now. And the intention is to kind of back away from the situation. This may just be their coping mechanism in general for things, is to kind of like suppress themselves, to sort of pull away into their shell. That feels most applicable if this is somebody that you're currently dealing with, where they may just all of a sudden go cold, go quiet, ghost, retract. And it feels to be, if that's the case, and it's almost just like steady communication just all of a sudden dries up, like they're not even like a full ghosting or blocking, but just kind of like they're very remote, they're very removed, they're very testy, they're very kind of not giving you a whole lot of information. Maybe making up like excuses or something, that there's something else going on with them that they don't intend to like get you involved in some manner. They're not wanting to like add drama, or they're wanting to just kind of keep you free, keep you clear from the chaos in some way. A lot of it feels to just be like internal chaos in a certain capacity, and more than just being like chivalrous and, well, I'm going to do the right thing so that you don't get hurt. This almost feels to be very much like a coping mechanism of somebody who shuts down when they are under pressure, when they are, faced with choices that are very difficult in some manner. When things have been stirred up emotionally, they may just sort of retreat back into themselves, go into their cave of solitude. This may be somebody who has really had to just go it alone, a very independent person who may not have a very good support system or structure around them. They do a lot of the heavy lifting on themselves. They may have trouble kind of asking for help from others. And so there could just be a lot that's happening with them right now, independent of the situation with you, that they are not intending at this point in making you aware of. Like, this is the most that they can give, is just this distance and kind of a hope that you'll be there when they return, but if you're not, you're not. It's just a very like black and white kind of energy with the black cat right there, that they're kind of retreating into their shadow. Their intention is to not let you fully see in, to cloak themselves in some way, to not see their, even if this is something where, you may have had a fight or a difficulty with somebody, they're not wanting to let you see just how upset that made them in some capacity. They're not wanting to let you see that disturbance within. If there's any kind of like resentment and anger, it's almost like they're just feeling with the intention of, distancing themselves so that you're not making the matters worse, or kind of like corroding the situation between you any further. So the intention is just to keep you free and clear from whatever these kind of like dense, sort of like nagging energies within them, kind of this pesky tendency within them. This idea of mischief is really talking about somebody who may kind of have mental health issues. They may be somebody who's kind of like an overthinker. somebody who deals with anxiety or depression, they may be having an episode of that set off by something very independent of the connection. Again, it's like coping mechanism here where, you know, the intention, it's kind of, it's well-meaning, but it's self-serving in a sense. It's just kind of like, I've got this. I'll do this alone because I have done this alone. There's only been me to rely upon. And so the intention is not revealing to you too much of that face of kind of what it is that they're dealing with. And so it can also be something where, you know, the intention is just to not participate further with you and this connection, or, you know, building more at this point. If it's someone from the past and the idea of like moving back towards you, the intention is, you know, to kind of put a pause on that or a stall on that, because they've got this other kind of like aspect of something that they're dealing with. So it's kind of like with this cauldron, it's like the intention is to put the connection on the back burner for this period of time due to, you know, whatever this other sort of thing is that's going on with them. With this idea of like intuition and scrying, they may also be going through some kind of an ascension, a dark night of the soul at this point in time. And it's almost, they're not sure how to reach out for help. There's a sense, like an intuitive knowing within, that they have to walk this path alone, that there's only so much help you can provide them, that this is some part of their awakening journey in a certain manner. And so it's almost bringing to mind the idea of like fulfilling some obligation that they have to themselves, or that they just know that they have to do this heavy lifting themselves. They have to do this hard work themselves. And so by that distance, it's almost just, even if it's like sitting in that energy of despair, in a way, it's sort of participating with those currents, not fighting those currents by using, you know, maybe the connection as a distraction, using you as a crutch, you know, reaching out to you to kind of dump or expect you to sort of figure out sort of the puzzle that they have going on, as far as maybe like an existential crisis in some manner. Their mind might be playing tricks on them also in a way. It feels like somebody who's in a degree of like distress and agitation, and that their intention is to not reveal that to you, to not let you see fully what that means. And whether that's pride and ego is leading to this intention, or it's just part of their coping mechanism, a learned behavior, is to just sit with these things, figure these things out on their own. So let's take a look and see what their possible actions are towards you. Okay, we've got the Ten of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. King of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Nine of Pentacles, so more Earth energy. Summer Solstice, Radiance. Fog, Veiled. And Gaia, Nurturing. So this King of Cups is really giving me this energy of, again, continuing to remain sort of emotionally withdrawn. And this isn't like the forever and ever actions, just their next possible actions is more of this just kind of like, I'll do it alone. I'll go this alone. I'm not going to dive into these emotional waters. I'm not going to talk about this with you. With this idea of like Ten of Pentacles to the Nine of Pentacles, this can, again, the next possible actions are sort of withdrawing communication. If this was someone that was in kind of the forward movement towards you, maybe to reconcile, maybe they'd gotten a lot of signs and indicators, plans were being put in place, it's almost like backtracking in a certain way, putting the situation in reverse. Again, this idea of like fog and veiled, it's something here that's unrelated. It's nothing you've done. It's nothing related even, it doesn't feel like, to this situation for a lot of you. This is like something totally independent of this circumstance, maybe to do with like finances, you know, maybe to do with work. There may be something going on with that, some kind of turbulence. It's like something that they're wrestling with, something even with this idea of like all these pentacles. This is like a long entrenched difficulty that they have, something they've been chipping away at for some time, or trying to really battle and combat. They're needing to just kind of like withdraw into themselves to nurture, to figure this out, maybe kind of bring themselves back up to a state of wellness, you know, get their mojo back, get their courage back, to feel better. And it's almost this idea of like, when I feel better, I'll move forward towards you again. That it's, you know, the situation is not regressing in the sense of, you know, something that is kind of been lost in the situation. It's almost like one step forward, two steps back, or just again more of that energy of, you know, putting this situation, putting the direction they were headed on the back burner. It's like they put a pin in it. It's pause. There's kind of this footnote that is still there in terms of a desire that they have to either you know, continue to develop the situation with you, if it's somebody that you're currently dealing with, to continue to invest. You know, they see you as somebody very stable, somebody very solid, somebody very reliable. That could be why, because of this other sort of state that they are in right now, of just kind of like, I need to deal with this aspect of my shadow, my history, some kind of condition, some kind of tendency, again, something maybe of like an emotional nature with this King of Cups. I can't let you see this part of me. So it's a little bit of like a lack mentality, where they're just not comfortable yet letting you into this sort of element of what they're dealing with. It's something they may be kind of like embarrassed about, or again, it's just, you know, this Nine of Pentacles is like they've been dealing with this alone for so long that they don't know how to sort of open up and ask for help. The idea of leaning on somebody else during a situation like this, it's never been made possible before. It's nothing that they've conceived of before. It may be something where they are even trying to, for some, it's like they're trying to self-soothe rather than using the connection as a crutch in a certain way. It's kind of like, I've got to deal with and not avoid and not numb out whatever this kind of current issue is that's going on. I've got to deal with this on my own. You know, if it's that dark night of the soul energy, it's almost just like their higher self telling them, like, you have to do this. This can no longer be put off. Walking through that sort of mystery is the doorway to, you know, that contentment and that joy and that kind of like new life. But it's something where, you know, they're almost needing to sort of dive deeply within themselves. It's like this Gaia card is bringing forth the phrase inner earth. So this could be like core wounds within. Something that has been triggered, maybe even a fear of abandonment has somehow been triggered at this point. The closeness the two of you have achieved at this point, it has caused this individual to sort of like run back into their shadow, into that hurt part of themselves. Something, you know, that they thought maybe wasn't an issue, they weren't aware of. They may still be kind of like stumbling in the darkness with that. And so a period of kind of like growth that is needed before they resume the course as usual with you. If it's somebody from the past, you know, again, it's something like almost that they were making their approach to you, but there's something that's almost like stalled out in that, some kind of a complication that came up. That's like they're not wanting to let you know that, or it has made it so that their plans that they had put in place are now having to be revised or maybe revisited at a later time. This could be something that, you know, it's like they have literally no choice about in some manner. This may have to do with like a family emergency, even something that they have to be attending to this. They cannot continue with that action towards you in some manner. There may be a lot of like frustration. They're having to sort of like put a cap on their feelings for now and their desire maybe to reconnect, or, you know, even somebody you're currently dealing with to sort of further the situation because they're needed elsewhere. They're like needed at home. So it does feel that it's almost like an energy of pulling back, regressing energetically, although most likely in terms of action steps towards you, or you know, the level of involvement that they have with you, if it's somebody you're currently dealing with. And this also, with this 10 of Pentacles and this 9 of Pentacles, this doesn't feel like somebody that will just like totally close down, you know, the communication, and it's full ghost, it's full radio silence. It's almost just that there will be this significant, like, noticeable sort of pulling back on their part, but it might be something where they're not giving you the full picture of that. They're very kind of closed off as far as revealing it, but then on the other side, it's like they want to bring clarity to you about why or what was involved in this, what was sort of going on, but the next actions are just that they need to sort of take care of this or deal with this. Like, it's just not the time to further participate or to explain themselves or to explain things in terms of these actions or what's going on. So I'm going to get a few messages from their higher self and see, what does this person want to tell you? Okay, and they say, I smile when I remember how you wanted nothing to do with me when we first met. So that is really tying into, if they're, you know, this energy of like nostalgia and kind of going back in time, some kind of regressing that is happening at this point, maybe sort of like looking back over old memories, doing some kind of inventory within themselves, something it feels like may have caused them to sort of panic, to need to put on the brakes in a certain manner. It's really talking about, you know, because this is sort of, it almost feels like it would be very difficult or disappointing, you know, sort of information here. It might not come as a surprise. If this is somebody you're currently dealing with, you may already sort of be in the throngs of this. They may have already sort of pulled back or distanced themselves. And it feels like this is sort of coming through as this confirmation that they do still want to build and invest, but just at the current time, they're sort of, their attentions are needed elsewhere. And it doesn't feel like third party energy. It's something just individually with them. This is almost like a quest that they need to go down, a road they must go down on their own in order to be kind of like worthy of, you know, that match for you. Something that they're trying to do or needing to work out or needing to attend to make them capable of showing up more fully for you and consistently for you in a healthy manner going forward. But definitely somebody, if this is somebody from the past, you know, they are reminiscing, there is that 6 of Cups energy, but then again, something just kind of put a wrench in those plans, or they needed to take a detour away from moving toward reconciliation at the last minute. But it's still something that very much is like, it's on their mind, it's just on the back burner now at this point in time. And they also say, when you see me, I try not to look in your eyes because I know you will see past my facade. So that is that veiled energy right there, not wanting to let you know precisely what's going on. It may be even with all that energy of like pride and ego that was coming through. They're not wanting to see you in this kind, or they're not wanting you to see them in this kind of like weakened state. They have a certain sort of expectation of how they should be showing up in the connection, a certain role that they have been filling or that they feel they should fulfill in your life. That could be something that they're needing to work through or come to terms with, or sort of adjust within themselves. They may have been putting too much pressure on themselves to kind of like live up to a certain expectation. And so this can almost be kind of like a divine intervention in a certain way, where they're needing to take a step back and sort of review that. Have they been being authentic, or have they been trying to sort of fit into a role that they feel that you've expected of them, or that they've kind of like created for themselves as the type of person that, you know, would be your match or could be your ideal, that maybe, you know, the pressure of trying to maintain that has just kind of made them crack or crumble in a certain way. But definitely this idea of the facade and just a lot that's kind of being withheld at this point in time. And they also say, I check on you every chance I get. So this is kind of bringing forth an energy sort of desperation, like they're hoping you're still there when they return, when they figure out or finish or move through or create restoration for themselves in whatever this other sort of circumstance is that has caused them to sort of pull back their energy and attention and intention from the circumstance with you. they're hoping that, you know, you can course correct and kind of pick up where you left off when they resume contact, or, you know, resume that sort of path towards you for reconciliation. And they also say, when I said I didn't love you, that was a lie. So this can definitely tie into, again, like hidden things, hidden feelings, aspects about themselves they are not wanting to show you. This can be somebody from your past, or it's almost like a false start kind of energy. And maybe they, you know, even, and this will only apply for some people, this Ten of Pentacles right here, it's a card of like family. So maybe people in their family or their friends group, or, you know, just something, they didn't approve of the connection, they didn't approve of you, that may have caused this person to, you know, kind of retreat, sort of pull back from the situation in the past. They may have been planning to sort of defy what other people have wanted for them, you know, just really kind of make their own decisions in things, to admit to having feelings where they had in the past maybe denied this, or, you know, chosen just to sort of placate or people please other people whose opinions matter, who they held in very high regard. And in the course of like moving towards you, it feels like something has come up at the last minute where they're having to sort of put that plan on hold and tend to something else, maybe even having to do with some of those same family members or friends, something of that nature that is just, they've been making movement towards you, but they've almost had to kind of go back in time a little bit to deal with something else. They also say, you inspire me to do things I've never done before. So this energy of really kind of like going whatever this is alone, this is something that, you know, maybe has been sort of a tendency of theirs to isolate, but in some way it feels like, you know, even if they're sort of leaning back into that coping mechanism or pattern, they're almost trying to like figure this out. They're sort of like looking at themselves and saying, you know, this is not sustainable in the long term. They might not be ready to sort of let you in to help them, or to really share what's going on at this point in time. But it's almost like, because of the circumstance you have going on with each other, and whatever this is that has kind of crept up and has generated this response in them, it's really clued them in of, you know, because these are substantial energies here. This Ten of Pentacles is like wish fulfillment in the material sense, and then to have to sort of like jump back from that into this Nine of Pentacles, you know, just kind of working on things for themselves. It's again that sense of like hoping you're still there when they return or when they come out of this. So they may be doing some deep diving, kind of that inner earth, working on those core issues within themselves. If it's somebody that you're dealing with in the past, what may have come up is almost this sense of knowing that they were coming forth incomplete. There still were things that they needed to work through within themselves in order to be able to be that suitable partner for you. So, you know, it's good intention of not sort of bringing complications, bringing drama, you know, further kind of involving you in sort of a half-formed version of who they are, but a real desire to like step into a higher vibration, step into a better version, really seek to kind of like understand these patterns and sort of move beyond these things within themselves. And they also say, do you still love me? So with that summer solstice, that radiance, that sun energy, this could have been somebody that got cold feet at the last minute, you know, just they were very determined to move towards you, to make something known, to bring forth some kind of truth, to invest or take things to the next level. And all of a sudden, you know, just kind of like fear or pride or ego sort of jumped in and made them question if they were really a suitable candidate to be standing by your side. So that can tie into, again, like shadow work that they're needing to do, needing to learn to love themselves. This idea of even kind of pulling back could be that energy of self-love at this point in time. And again, this kind of idea of hopefully you're still there, hopefully you will still love them on the other side of whatever this is. Also a bit of kind of lack mentality about if you knew this aspect of themselves. This doesn't feel to be anything very nefarious. It feels like some sort of thing that they're very insecure about. This may even be like a physical thing that they're very insecure about with themselves. And it's just almost like if you saw this face of them, maybe you would think less of them. Maybe you wouldn't, you know, be as interested or as enamored by them. If you knew this kind of, it's something within their shadow, something they're very kind of ashamed of, or that is just very kind of like difficult for them to deal with. And so a lot of kind of issues with self-esteem, trying to create sort of a sense of balance within themselves before they are able to bring you something more measurable, to return to you, to resume their journey towards you, or to become more engaged in the connection with you if this is somebody that you're currently dealing with. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got F, Z, I, T, M, N, Y, V, P, H, and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 4. You chose the Amethyst. So I'm going to start by looking into what are their intentions towards you. Okay, we have freedom, abundance, commitment, communication, graveyard, unnecessary fear, spider, community and web weaving, owl, wise seeing, wise action, and ancestors, the love and legacy of our DNA. So definitely this is somebody whose intentions are to bring forth some kind of, offer some kind of communication that helps to put to rest any fears that you have about if they see long-term potential in this circumstance and situation. And it's going to be different for everybody what that looks like, just depending on where you are in your journey with this person. If this is something where it's like a no contact situation, there's this intention to write a different future between the two of you. They're stronger and wiser. They see now from a higher perspective, something that may have been very unclear to them in the past, that you're the one they want commitment with. They want to make you like family. They want to bring you into their community. They may want to take you home to meet mom and dad. They may want to introduce you to friends. For some people, they want to pop the question. And that might sound very extreme for a no contact situation, but for at least one person out there, it feels like this is somebody who wants to come forth from the past and not just pick up where you left off, but almost fast forward to the point of, I see the light now. Let's stop all of this back and forth and let's make this thing between us forever. The choice is clear. There's this intention here of making you feel very loved and very appreciated and very cherished. If that had been lacking in the situation in the past, maybe it was something where, they just didn't see your value or the worth of the connection in the past. There could have been different fears that they were dealing with, fear of commitment, the intensity and nature of what it is they felt for you could have caused them to run. Again, this idea with this kind of the spider that's got like a spiral on its belly, circling back around to you, wanting to invest deeper with you than they had been in the past. If this is a current situation that you are dealing with, the intention is, again, to be very transparent in the level of joy and satisfaction that they get when they are with you. So this is definitely somebody who wants to take things to the next level, whether this is with this idea of like ancestors and kind of community building. This could even be like a friendship situation, and this is somebody who wants to express the interest in taking things to the next level. So that might be, just going out on a date for the first time. For others of you, this is something where this is someone who wants to confess sort of like long-held feelings for you that they were repressing. They tried to stuff these things down. It's almost bringing forth the idea of like an energy of agony, like to continue to remain very silent or very aloof, even very removed from your life. If this is no contact, they can't endure that. They can't keep going on in that manner. They're wanting to put an end to whatever the current definition is between the two of you and to move toward building something more solid, more stable, something that's a lot more of a creative experience with one another than you have at this point in time. There's an intention of giving you peace of mind. Again, putting those fears to rest. If you didn't know their intentions, this is that conversation. These are my intentions. Not everyone will say it like that, but there may be somebody who does kind of like, these are my intentions. And it's also bringing to mind somebody who maybe comes from a culture who's very traditional, or you come from a culture that's very traditional, or even if this is like aside from culture in some way, it's almost like they're wanting to sit down with somebody's parents and like express their intentions for the situation. They're wanting to come forth in a very kind of giving energy, not leaving mystery, not kind of leaving a sense of uncertainty about where is this headed, but it's this idea of like wanting to discuss and make future plans, long-standing plans, even sort of like deep revelations for some people that, they see forever with you and want to work to build toward that. And then again, wherever you are in the dynamic with one another, whatever's going on, that'll determine sort of what those next steps are, where that kind of stepping off point is to building together, working in harmony with one another to create, the logistics of the situation. Maybe that's planning a wedding. Maybe if there's geographic distance between the two of you. With this idea of the web, this could be like online communication, and there could be things that need to be worked out with that, as far as people needing to relocate, combining households in some manner. Maybe this is, becoming committed to one another for the first time, establishing a monogamous relationship with one another, becoming very exclusive, becoming very mutual, and just the intention is to kind of bring you closer into their fold. This is somebody who wants to grow old with you. This is somebody who, and that might, depending on for some of you, that this is a very new person, or they're like a friend that you haven't even entered into romance with one another. It's just they see so much with you. You're like this 10 of Pentacles. You're everything that they have been looking for. And they're not wanting to let you slip through their grasp. If this is somebody who had at one point let you slip through their grasp, or had sort of run the other direction, there's almost like wanting to circle back around and sew up this situation, mend the situation, repair the situation, because they've not been able to find anyone else like you, or if it was some kind of like fearful, shadowy energy that they had dealt with in the past, they've been humbled, or they've been clued in. They've got this wisdom or this perspective. Maybe even, you know, friends or family may have been very, almost like a tough love kind of energy. This is someone who may have even gotten kind of like counseling or self-help. They've worked through a lot of things within themselves, and if they were not ready before, this is someone who is ready to really give this a solid chance this time, to take things to the next level, to invest with you, you know, to build with you, to grow with you, to expand the dynamic in some way beyond the current definition into something that's lasting. This is not like experimental energy. This is very certain energy. This feels like somebody who has thought long and hard about this circumstance and situation. If this is somebody that has not yet professed their feelings, so kind of like a secret admirer energy, although it feels like they may in some way be in the peripheral of your awareness. It feels a little bit closer than like a coworker, but that can definitely apply, where they're in some way like in that shared sense of community. It's almost like it's this intention to, you know, give a lot more in a substantial way than they have. This isn't just somebody who's coming through and they're flirting. This is like actually asking you out, taking that leap of faith, that kind of beginning of the fool's journey of like, let's see where this goes. If this is somebody that you are currently dating with, it's this intention to move forward with you. And even if they're not at this point of like taking that leap necessarily, this is definitely the intention, their long-term intention for this situation and with you is long-term. They're not wanting to see this reach a point of conclusion. They're not wanting to let the two of you drift apart, but there's this intention here to create closeness, to weave your lives together even more intricately than they already are, and in a way that is lasting and permanent is the word that's coming through. So again, this might be a very traditional kind of person, where maybe they're even asking the permission of family members. Taking into account as well any kind of like cultural differences between the two of you. Maybe it's something where, you know, moving in with one another before marriage isn't necessarily, you know, approved of. And so it's something that they're willing to, you know, really kind of like show their dedication to you by respecting those boundaries, or respecting those things like about you. These kind of lists of sort of these hurdles, or those gatekeepers that must first be sort of moved beyond, or the approval must be gotten from these things in order to sort of take things further. So this is a very beautiful energy. It's a very noble energy. This is an energy of like certainty, a very solid energy that you know, they want to be able to freely express themselves. They want you to, the intention is to make you feel very, very safe, very much not so much swallowed up in the connection, but safe to be yourself, while also having the identity of like unity within the situation, wanting to make sure that things are moving at a speed that is very comfortable for you, but this is also moving into a space where you are free from any doubt that their intentions are elsewhere, or that they are, you know, envisioning somebody else in terms of this kind of like forever, this happily ever after sort of energy that you know, that if they had options at one point in time, that it's all eyes on you. It's all about you. You are the choice. They have reached that decision point. They're all in. They're committed, and their intention is to kind of like deepen or expand the commitment with you in some manner. So take a look at their potential actions towards you. And actually, before I get these cards, I just realized like in the other three groups, I only got 3 cards from each of these decks, and I wasn't even thinking about it, and I've gotten 4 cards, and so it's really bringing to mind like the Four of Wands. They're wanting to bring forth, you know, stability for you. This is a number of like solid partnership, of stability, of foundation, creating a framework. So this is definitely somebody who's, you know, they're done sort of running in circles. They're done with options. You know, their intention is to show up for you in a very reciprocal energy, to build with you. And even this, you know, we've got these 8 cards out here. So that's really talking about, you know, this idea of like infinity and kind of moving through the cycles of time with you. So this is a very serious energy. This person has very deep feelings for you, and they're very determined to kind of move through the ups and downs of what might be necessary, the logistics even, to sort of bring these feelings and these determinations and these plans or these dreams that you may put into place into fruition. And it's also that idea of 8 is kind of, you know, reciprocity. It's equal give and take as well. So making sure you feel very comfortable and seen, and making sure that you know, it's open lines of communication, that any fears you have, these things are addressed, these things are put to rest, so that you can move forward with one another, to the next level of whatever is possible. Okay, so we've got Two of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The Fool, which is Aries. The Tower, which is also Aries. Crystals, Focus. Cave, Sanctuary. And Childhood, Innocence. Yeah, so this idea of this childhood card, this is like 6 of Cups energy. So definitely if this is somebody that you are in no contact with, you've been at a distance with, they are planning to return. This is the energy of reconciliation, taking that leap of faith forward. And in a very, it feels like in a very dramatic fashion, that this is not just coming forth in the same vibration that they were previously, that what they bring to you, what they reveal, what they deliver, what they, you know, this idea of like crystals in focus, it's this clarity that they provide, this peace of mind. It's very shocking in a sense. It's very deep. It's very dramatic. It's like totally tearing apart the foundation you had experienced with one another before, or whatever this current, you know, even if it's not a no contact, the current sort of structure of your dynamic with one another, and leaping forth in an entirely new direction. This is something that they've been thinking about for a while with this Two of Wands. Some of them may be reaching out again at a distance, this little globe in his hands. They may be reaching out online, traveling to see you. Relocation may definitely be a possibility. Even if you live in proximity to one another, it's again this idea of going from 2 people having their own sort of houses or residences to, you know, the choice of kind of like, well, who's going to move in with who? Where are we going to live? And not just sort of mulling over these questions, but it, you know, it's like taking that leap of faith. Like, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to take things to the next level. I'm ready to move out of this energy of kind of like 2 become 1. And it's creating this cave, this sanctuary, this shared home, wanting to, you know, really make sure that you feel very safe and very seen and very appreciated, wanting to bring forth whatever they've been hiding as far as, you know, plans to do this, maybe to pop the question, to ask you out, to, you know, suggest that you sort of like settle down with one another in an exclusive mutual, you know, relationship with one another. Coming out of hiding, if this is somebody who, you know, has been in a no contact situation with you. It's even like in this card, he's sitting at the mouth of the cave, writing on the cave wall. So they may be getting ready to draft some kind of communication to you. This is giving me the idea of like hermit energy. The hermit is getting ready to come out of the cave, armed with the wisdom that we see there with that owl card, knowing very certainly, not taking baby steps, but like running towards you. Any need that there had been to sort of like deliberate and to make a choice, that choice has been made, and it's the energy of like all in this circumstance, wanting to transcend in a very profound manner whatever has existed between the two of you up to this point, or where you're at currently. So these actions can definitely be something, even this idea of childhood, if it's, you're wanting to get married, you're wanting to have kids, if that's possible, if that's in your, your kind of vision board, your dream, your life plan for yourself, this is somebody, who's on board with that. And so discussions about things of that nature may be definitely on the table as far as this leap of faith forward. They're bringing it all out. They're going to be very transparent with you. This is someone who may have been vague in the past. They may have had kind of a fear of commitment. Maybe this is somebody you've been dating for a while, or this could even, with this Fool, be very sort of like impulsive. You may not have even known this person for a long time, and what they are revealing to you, it could be very shocking, very overwhelming. There may be a lot of sort of details that need to be figured out as far as, well, how do we make this work? It's so intense, it's so sudden, it's so soon, and yet they are so certain. So that can be where the baby steps sort of come into play, is kind of after this revelation, how do we move from that point of disclosure to creating this into the material reality? That might be the time of sort of like, things need to be thought through, plans need to be made, travel arrangements, paperwork, wedding planning, all of these different kind of things may need to be factored in as well. But it's somebody who's, they're very, very certain. They're wanting to take that leap of faith forward. And really providing you with that certainty, that clarity, in a very direct manner, in a crystal clear manner. This is no innuendos. This is no beating around the bush, but it's this is full disclosure here of, not just feelings it feels like that they are harboring inside, which this can be a little bit tricky if this is somebody who you're just kind of first encountering, or you haven't known them for very long, or maybe they're like a friend, or they're somewhere in your sort of peripheral in your group, but you haven't entered into romance with one another. They may almost tell you a lot, and that could be very overwhelming to you. We're like, okay, well, we need to start with a cup of coffee before we are picking out the wedding china, for example. It could be something like that. So it may be somebody that, with all this kind of fiery energy, and especially these two Aries cards here, this is like leadership, this is proactive. They're not wanting to let this opportunity slip by, and especially if it's somebody who had let you slip by in the past, they're very fixed and focused on resuming kind of their position in your life, and sort of picking up the pieces, coming in very suddenly, coming in a very direct manner, in a very certain manner. For a lot of you, this is the conversation that you have wanted to have. This is what you were wanting to hear from this person. It may even be more than what you were expecting, which can tie into, this overwhelm right here, where they just kind of, they let it all out, but not in a way that's very impulsive. It's been a while in the making. They've been thinking about this, but it's just, it's almost like it's a quantum leap into the next level of what's possible between the two of you on the other side of kind of their action steps towards you, their communication, their reaching out. Again, even this idea here of the crystal cave and then the hermit's cave, it's, they've taken that time to reflect. They've been going inside, they've done the work, they've checked in with themselves, they've weighed the pros and cons, and maybe even made plans and strategy. And so what they're bringing forth to you, this isn't something where they're going to back away again. It's like they're coming in a very proactive, very certain energy to be able to sort of pivot things, to follow through on these promises made, or these words that are expressed. So I'm going to get a few messages from their higher self and see what do they want you to tell you. okay? And they say, I'm lost without you. Yeah, so definitely somebody you're in no contact with. The time apart has served them well. They see what they had left behind. They have looked around and have come to the conclusion everything they were looking for is with you. It's in how they feel when they're with you. It's what you represent. It's what's possible between you. And it almost feels like somebody who's just been kind of wandering, very like floating along, flowing through their life, and then all of a sudden here's this certainty of where they belong. All of a sudden the future looks possible in a different kind of way. This may be somebody who, you know, had just considered themselves to be like a perpetual bachelor or bachelorette, somebody who wasn't ready to settle down. That might have even caused them to run at some point in time, was the intensity of what they felt for you, and just recoiling. They weren't ready yet. But this is somebody who has, you know, is finding their way back to you, is kind of like following their true north, following their heart, and it's leading them in your direction. And they also say you're the only person I've ever felt comfortable enough with to just be myself. So again, you really do represent the full package. This is like best friend and lover material. You know, they see themselves growing old with you. They see themselves moving through life's adventures with you. And it's something that, you know, if they've dated other people prior to being with you, if you two have moved apart and they've explored connections with other people, it's like nothing compares to what they've had with you. And it feels like if this is no contact, there may have been like a substantial amount of time that has gone by. They have had time to think and to explore and to experiment, and they have really come to the conclusion of everything again that they've been looking for is with you. They also say, I feel bad with how I left things between us after all that we have shared. So more of that energy of really prioritizing you, holding you in a very special energy, feeling bad for any fears they may have unintentionally sort of triggered or activated within you, if this is someone you're currently dealing with, and there's almost a sense of that they should have made a move sooner, or advanced the situation sooner. They should have been more open about their feelings, the true depth and nature of these things sooner, you know, not wanting you to feel insecure or uncertain. So this is somebody who is on that brink and precipice of wanting to make those intentions known. If it's somebody you're in a no contact situation with, somebody from the past, then again, if they had like run from you, or this idea of like the graveyard, kind of like ghosted you, just disappeared in some manner, left very few explanations, and, you know, things were just cut off very abruptly in a manner, it's almost that the time that they've taken to like gain this wisdom within, and the clarity that they have now about their feelings, it's kind of like, how could I have done this? How could I have, you know, treated the most important person to my heart in such a way? They also say, I don't want to lose myself in this relationship. So that's tying into that idea of reciprocity with those 8 initial cards right there. They want to make sure that there's equal give and take. It feels like that is why they're going to almost overshare in a certain way that might be very intense, because it feels like if there was any kind of like a vague energy up to this point in time, they're wanting to get everything out on the table, so no stone is left unturned, so that the two of you can truly build in a co-creative way, so that it's not all them or all you. This is somebody who, you know, when they solidify this connection or take things to the next level or to return, they're wanting this to be in a long-term sense and like a permanent sense. They're not wanting either of you to lose interest. They're not wanting either of you to dissolve into this situation. But this is somebody who's almost wanting with that idea of freedom, kind of like each of you having your independent personalities, your independent lives, your independent identity, and it's the creation of a third identity, or like for each of you individually, a second identity, but it's kind of this third energy of like the connection, that unit, that oneness between the two of you. So it's wanting, you know, both of those circumstances, each of you standing in your own autonomy, each of you being that yin to your own yang, and then, you know, kind of being that equivalent for one another in the connection as well. And they also say, I don't feel I deserve to be happy. So this might have been somebody with a lack mentality in the past that they were dealing with that could have caused them to get cold feet, run from you. It feels like for a lot of you, they recognized you almost maybe immediately as kind of like everything that they were looking for, but then sort of second guess themselves. Something they had been praying for and trying to manifest, and then it shows up and they run in the opposite direction. So a bit of self-esteem that they've been working through in this time apart. For a lot of you, this will also be what they reveal to you. But kind of like coming out of the cave of introspection and isolation, and they're coming out in this fiery energy and this leadership energy. Even if they're really, it feels like they almost might be very terrified even to say this to you. For a lot of you, this could be, you know, popping the question, having that big conversation, you know, maybe, you know, just taking things to the next level in a big way. This isn't just saying, hey, when are we going to see each other again? It's really evolving things to the next level in a certain way, to where even if they're very nervous, it's like they're going to push themselves forward anyway. So it may come out a bit wobbly. They may get very kind of like tongue-tied. They may be sort of like nervous and just kind of like talking really fast just to get it all out. They just need to speak their piece and then kind of wait and see how you react to that. And they also say, don't believe what you see or hear because I am not okay. So that ties into the idea of they are lost without you. They're not okay with how the situation currently is between you, whatever that might look like. They want more. They want the next level with you. They want more of a solid and stable commitment. They want to build as opposed to just continue to maintain the status quo, or if it's someone in no contact, they don't want to continue to drift further away. They don't want more time to pass with this distance between you. They want to come in closer, they want to return home, they want to do things right, and they want to build to the next level. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got Q, S, P, Y, O, A, F, R, L, W, and N. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.